what's up, Kryptonians? It's your boy Superfan K here, and today we are going to take a look at the origin of Superfan K. In other words, you get to take a look behind the curtain and see the man behind the cape. Although I am wearing a cape right now, and that's just because I was in a Superman-y type of mood, and I just wanted to have the cape on. And you know, in hindsight, it actually doesn't make much sense showing you the man behind the cape, even though I'm wearing the cape. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this. Either way, I'm going to let you guys know a little bit more about me, a little bit more background, and I also have a special shout out for the DCEU, in particular, the DCEU Appreciation Group. I got some things to say about you guys. I will save that for later on in the video. I suppose I should start with why I'm such a Superman fanboy. I've been a Superman fan since I was 5-6 years old. A lot of it stems from the fact that my parents were divorced. That's right, mommy and daddy split up when I was 4 years old. And when you're a kid and your parents are split up and you're kind of going back and forth between places, I mean, I kind of moved back and forth between Indiana, and I spent some time in the South, you know, Atlanta, North Carolina. I don't know, as a kid, you sort of feel like you're alone, you know? I felt like I didn't really belong anywhere. I felt like I didn't have a home. I felt like, you know, I didn't really belong to anyone. I just kind of felt lost. And so one day I was in the library and I saw this Superman comic on the bottom shelf. It was really old, it was really dusty, and there was like no other books on the shelf with it. And so I picked it up and it was a Superman comic, and coincidentally it was a Superman origin story. I immediately gravitated towards Superman because Superman felt like me. I mean, he felt like an outsider. He felt like he was alone. He was on a world full of people that didn't know or didn't really understand him. I mean, he's from Krypton, but he's lived on Earth his whole life, and so really you could get the sense that maybe he wasn't sure where he fit in or where he belonged, and that was kind of a big point of the origin story that I read. I immediately gravitated towards him because I didn't feel alone when I was with Superman. I felt like I was with somebody who not only had really awesome and badass powers, but somebody who felt alone just like me. From that point on, I became an unapologetic Superman fanboy, and today, 24 years old, I am an unapologetic Superman fanboy. As far as film and as far as how I got into film and how I got into movies, I mean, I've always loved movies. A lot of this just stems from me having an awesome dad. My dad helped raise me and helped put certain things into my mind that paid off later when I became, you know, a glorified man-child. Like, he would always quote Star Wars to me when I was a kid. That's kind of how I became a Star Wars fan, is he would always quote things. He would always quote Yoda to me, and he would be like, you know, if I was struggling to do something, or if I said I couldn't do something, or if I said I would try to do something, you already know what he would say. He would be like, do or do not, there is no try. And I'd be like, oh, that's I don't know what that means, but that sounds really cool. Hey, I was a kid. I was kind of a stupid kid, so sue me. Other things, like my dad watching old James Bond movies, that's how I became such a huge James Bond fan. So really, I've been a movie fan for, I would say, pretty much my entire life, and a lot of it is due to my dad, and a lot of it is just due to me being a kid and being lost and just trying to gravitate and reach out and grab as many things and touch as many things as I possibly could. I mean, you know the saying. You know that when you're a kid and you first discover that you have a penis, you just walk around trying to touch your penis to whatever the hell you can to see if you can touch your penis to a rock or a tree or whatever. No? No one else did that? That was just me? Okay. Either way, when you're a kid and you're lost and your parents are divorced and you don't really know where home is, you just kind of start latching out to whatever makes you feel safe. And I guess that's how I became a film fan, because film helped me escape. Film was escape for me. It was a way for me to get away from my problems, get away from my stress, get away from other kids, get away from whatever, and just go into my own world and zone out. And that is how I became a big fan of movies. As far as the Superfan K nickname, I mean, okay, it's kind of a two-part thing. A part of the nickname is from my friends and from some of my teachers back in high school and middle school, because they knew I was a huge Superman fanboy, and so they just called me Superfan. But part of it also is because, again, I'm such a huge fan of so many things. Like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, I'm a huge James Bond fan, I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, I'm a huge Die Hard fan, I'm a huge Bourne fan. I mean, I'm a huge fan of so many things. Let's apply it to sports. I'm a huge sports fan. I love basketball, I love football. My favorite football team is the New England Patriots. My favorite basketball team is the Miami Heat. I'm a huge rap and hip-hop fan. I love Jay-Z, I love Nas, I love Eminem, I love Ice Cube, I love J. Cole, I love Kendrick Lamar. When you're a fan of so many different things, it just becomes easier for everyone to associate you as a fan, and so as a result, that's where part of the Superfan nickname came from. The K part, the K actually stands for King, yeah, and it's King because in high school I was a rapper. Yeah, I know, it's really surprising. I know a lot of you look at me, you don't really think that I would be, but yeah, trust me, in high school I was a rapper. As I said, I was very passionate about rap and hip-hop and stuff like that, and I actually became a pretty damn good rapper, and so I was called King because my name is Hannibal, and I was named after an African king and warlord who wanted to conquer the world and, you know, tried to cross the Alps with the elephants and all that stuff. You guys have probably heard about that, except you probably associate Hannibal with Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, 24 years old and I can't get away from those jokes. It's sad. And it came from that part of my actual biological name, and people who associated me with rap, they called me King, or King Miller, because that's kind of how I stretched it out. So anyway, when I was coming up with the idea to do this and to start my own show and all of that shit, I was just kind of like, well, Superfan, that kind of makes sense because, you know, Superman fanboy talking. And the other part of it was I was like, oh, well, you know, I could just take King. I could combine the two things. It'd be okay. Thus, Superfan K was born. And yeah, for anybody that didn't know, my name is Hannibal. That's a nickname. Superfan K is just a nickname, people. You guys all know that this video is in response to the fact that I recently went over 200 subscribers. And for that end, I want to thank anybody and everybody who has been with me on this journey so far. It's been magical. It's been great. It's been awesome sauce. Seriously, when I started this, I mean, I didn't really care about, you know, how many views or how many subscribers I got. I just wanted to have a place where I could talk to people, man. And this place, I can just release, I can be free, I can be myself, and I can just talk about what I love or talk about what I hate and just have a place where I can vent and talk to people and connect. And that's really what this is for me. So for anybody who's been with me from day one, or any recent subscribers, or anybody who is thinking about joining Krypton Nation, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean a lot to me. You guys have no idea how much I love this shit. I mean, I love this shit almost as much as I love getting pussy, and that's really a hard thing for me to admit. And now for the piece de resistance. One group in particular on Facebook that I want to single out is the DCEU Appreciation Group. If anybody has been following my channel for a long time, you know how much of a fan I am of DC and the DCEU. I love the DCEU, I love everything about it, and I wanted to take this opportunity to single out the DCEU Appreciation Group because, quite honestly, that's like the best group on Facebook. If you didn't know, now you know. Get woke. The DCEU Appreciation Group is a family. It's a brotherhood. It's a bondage. And I know that that sounds like a mix between a fraternity and slavery and BDSM and stuff like that, but I'm using bondage in a positive context here. I love all of those guys. Again, it's great to share passions and interests with people. All the people in that group are just awesome, awesome, awesome people. But in particular, I wanted to single some people out, and I wanted to show you guys some love because you guys have always showed me love on any of my DC related videos. Josh Baker, got a lot of love for you, buddy. You're a really good friend. You've supported my videos from day one. You're a very fair-minded and open-minded individual, and I really appreciate that about you. Mike Solito. You know, sometimes I just can't stand you, and I think you know why. Nicholas Rises. I mean, Nicholas Rises is one of the smartest dudes I've ever known. This dude is crazy smart. This dude comes with facts. He comes with information. He's prepared, and he knows a lot about math, something that I really don't know much about. So, kudos to him for being the man that I could never be. Kelvin McBride is brutally honest. He always has ammo for the haters. This is a guy that is unapologetically 100% DC. I love you for that, man. We need a rough rider in this group, and you're one of our rough riders. We appreciate you. We love you, man. Mark Sweet Potatoes, all I gotta say is pure sex. That's all I gotta say. Pure sex. Well, Shane Franz, Luis Anthony, my buddy Dip Berea, Gary Hess, Thomas James, who can rival Nicholas Rises in terms of rebuttals, Paul Estrada, Matt Beersmore, your ejaculation gifts are just legendary at this point. Suggest Shepard, you are the man, you're awesome. I knew we were gonna be good friends as soon as I saw Sasha in your profile picture. Ryan Brower, really appreciate the love and support that you've shown me in my videos over the last year or so. I really appreciate that. None of this would be possible. None of this would have worked without our captain, our leader, our savior, our God, Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott, I just want to thank you, man. You're the reason why this group is so awesome. You're very passionate, alright? You're a great leader, and I love everything that you do for that group, Sam. None of this would be possible without you. Really appreciate it. Instead of my standard stereotypical outro, I will just leave you guys with some highlights of the DCEU thus far. Can't wait for Wonder Woman, and can't wait to get back to work reviewing some stuff for you guys this week. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for more, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.